Hi friends, Mindy here. I have a super quick process video for you today. This is day 4 of Mind Games from Bythewell4god. Today is titled Grooves, Pathways, and Ruts, and this is really just talking about our mind and how we tend to think, and so we get stuck in certain patterns of thinking. But if we will take those sort of patterns and reactions and kind of take them to the Lord, He will really help us form new ways of thinking. We can replace, complaining with gratitude and those kinds of things, but that's a process that we have to go through. It's, it takes effort on our part. It's not necessarily an easy thing to do. And so one of the verses that's referenced here is Psalm 139, verse 23 and 24, which talks about, search me, O God, and know my heart. See if there's any wicked way in me. And those are two verses that I love. Those two verses, it's almost, I guess you would say, life verses for me, but it's just definitely my constant prayer. I really want the Lord to just, all of those inner thoughts, just to kind of really take those and keep me in check and keep my motives in check, and and reveal those areas of weakness to me, that so that I can rely on the Spirit to help me overcome those and just change those kind of negative patterns and things. And so that's really kind of what today is talking about. And that, if we go to the Lord, Judy says, in prayer on a consistent basis, that, we can be surrounded with His peace of mind, and He will help us guard our heart, guard our thoughts. And so it's just such a beautiful devotional day. I really loved reading this day. The devotional has been so good so far. And so that's why I keep popping on here with these little process videos, just because I want to share about the devotional. It's so good. So, so far what you've seen me do is just add some of that maize pattern paper to the background. And then of course I trimmed that down and distressed the edges. And then there's this other little kind of maize piece that I'm going to add as a little tuck spot for my notes. But I thought it would be fun to actually kind of work through some of the maize on the background, since this day is titled Grooves, Pathways, and Ruts. And so I just did that in pencil. I was going to do it in pen, but I just felt like it would be too dark. So I did it in pencil just to kind of keep it in the background. And then I pulled out some of the notes, which I've already written down. I have that little ephemera piece there. And then this is the title for this day that I just put on some white paper. And I'm just going to title this up at the top, and then I ended up just trimming that down and then rounding the corners, and it's going to stick over the edges of my tag just ever so slightly, but I'm not mad about it. I like things kind of hanging off my little tag ring. It just feels more interactive and stuff that way. So you can kind of see where I'm headed with this one. And this is where I decided I was going to make this into a tuck spot. And so since it's a circle, I just kind of held it in place and put the glue back behind it. And then I'm going to add my little title piece. Some of these days I've been sticking that part on the back of the tag, but for today, I wanted to bring kind of all the colors together, and I felt like this was a good way to do that. So I just put that up there at the top. And then I'm punching a little reinforcer hole out of some of the other pattern paper that I'm going to put up there at the top, since I took the one off of that, off the tag when it was craft. You certainly don't necessarily have to do this. I just happen to have that punch, and so it's fun to add a little bit of detail. And again, it helps pull up some of the colors up to the top. So you can kind of see how all of my little notes and things are going to stack inside this little tuck spot that I created. And then I don't know, I felt like that needed a little bit more, so I pulled out these two little pieces. This kind of reminds me of the Sorry game. And so I trimmed those down and distressed the edges of those two little pieces, and I'm going to add them on top. And it was at this point that I decided, I don't know, just felt like it needed a little something else. And so I decided to do some glossy accents. I would recommend doing this before you've glued your pieces together, but I wasn't thinking of it at that point. So I'm basically going to flood this entire surface with glossy accents, and it's going to take a long time to dry. And so what I'm doing is kind of just going around the outside to create a rim, and then I will fill in the rest of it, just kind of going slowly through here, just to not get too many air bubbles, although I did have a few, so I had to pop those with my little tool here, and just making sure that it will dry. Otherwise they'll kind of get a little like cavern in them. So I let that sit overnight, honestly, and it just gave it that kind of puzzle piece, those little toys that you had when, where the little metal thing goes through the maze. And so it just kind of gave it that dimension. And then I did add some embossing powder, some clear embossing powder to those two little pawn pieces as well, just to give them a little bit of dimension, and then glued those down to the top, just trying to add a little bit more interest and some color, but just keeping it really simple. And then all of my little journaling cards are going to tuck behind that piece. And then on the back, I'm going to put the domino that corresponds with today for day 4. And I am using that same maze pattern paper. And just because I think it really makes a fun domino that kind of, you know, adds to the effect. And then I already have the title on the front, so this will just give me lots of room to create or to write out a prayer or some other notes that I want to do. That's kind of what I've been doing on the back side of all of these tags. So I'm just going to toss this in my little ring, and that is it for day 4. If you like this video, I would appreciate it if you gave it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and until next time, bye.